how does he do it every single time? All right, we got the craziest Iran updates of all time. Not even gonna lie, this is insane. Trump won the war multiple times, it seems. The physical war, the economic war, he seems to be threatening them for annihilation if they don't actually just, let basically us go in there and take over the entire country. A lot of people are very upset about it, but my stance is that they have the right to cry. Iran fully opened the Strait of Hormuz for every single country except for themselves because of Trump's blockade. All right, we got Tucker Carlson freaking out on Trump. Patrick Bet-David going to war with Tucker Carlson, basically saying he converted to Islam behind the scenes. All right, we got politicians in America trying to push all these like woke garbage acts to prevent people from investigating fraud, which is the most diabolical self-report I've ever seen in my entire life. Woke judges releasing people from jail. HASAN PIKER in trouble. Honestly, so much going on. I was in the Jew tunnels for a while researching this one, and I'm not going to lie, this one will not disappoint. Insane deep dives on all the things, covering them in the way they need to be covered. Lock in, boys and girls. As you can see, Donald J. Trump took a power stance while taking questions from reporters. No one knows how does he keep getting away with it? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how he keeps getting away with it. Journalists completely mogged by Donald Trump on this one. Unfathomable stuff. This one tweet got 10 million views. It's pretty crazy. Now, the Donald released a nuke, a straight up nuke at Turning Point USA.
So do not listen to the craven and cowardly voices who tell you America needs to think small.
True.
Or to shrink from our duties
God,
or
so right.
potential. Most
True.
people, they wanted to, this recent situation, they wanted to do it, but they said, oh, let's not get involved. Sometimes you have to get involved.
He's so
you have
right,
no choice
man.
but to get involved.
He's right.
If you're going to remain great, sometimes...
It's like, I'm America first, but I actually want Iranian terrorists to have nuclear weapons because I don't believe in violating the sovereignty of another nation. It's like, okay, all right, that's very cool. Now, continue to fuck yourself in the face and use this as a propaganda. Man, I feel like this Iran situation was such a mask-off moment. You get to really see who the fucking traitors are and who the real people are.
You have to get involved. Remember, I'm the peacemaker. I'm the one that settled 8 wars. I settled a war that would have killed 30 to 50 million people. India, Pakistan. You have to sometimes get
Listen, not everything he does is perfect, okay?
Involved. We are the inheritors of the most incredible civilization that has ever existed.
Say it. Yes. Facts. Yes. And we're allowed to be proud of that.
And our task is to defend it. We have to defend it. Past leaders used our wealth and power to make other countries rich and treated our military like a charity for the world while getting barely a word of thanks in return. Nobody thanks us. They don't say, oh, thank you so much.
True. They just complain. All right, the European leaders have decided to come together to have a meeting on more meetings that they could have, where in those meetings, their conclusion could be the strong words that they could put in tweets to condemn us for doing shit. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. We are dealing with an era of retards.
They don't thank us. They think we're stupid. That's really what it is.
True.
They don't thank us. Now, we're using American strength to advance American interests for American citizens and to ensure that we remain the most dominant country on the face of the earth, which we're doing at levels that nobody can believe, actually.
And honestly, he's just right. And I'm really glad he actually said that, because this is massive. All right, do not listen to the craven and cowardly voices who tell you America needs to think small. We are the greatest civilization of all time. We are justice. And if you could cry about it, actually. Actually, you could cry about it. I see a lot of people telling me, Nux, how dare you have this opinion? This is it's of the international law. But what will stop another country from deciding that they could do... But we're the most powerful country on the planet, and we're the good guys, and we're going to kill the bad guys. That's how it works. Now, if you subjectively disagree with me, well, then you could go fuck yourself, because there's really nothing you can do about it. I'm not saying might makes right, but I am saying that might makes. So from my perspective, we can actually just do things. A lot of people don't like that opinion of mine, but I don't care.
Do something at the White House when this all does end, when you are able?
We'll have a party, man. We've been pushed around by Iran for 47 years.
True. Don't look at this as Trump starting a war with Iran. Look at it as Trump ending a 47-year-long war with Iran. And he's right.
You said that the U.S. was going to take the nuclear dust from Iran.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on that? How long will that take?
Do you want me to give you the time and date and everything else?
Is it like you've negotiated how long that process will go on?
I'm not going to give you the time other than if we sign the agreement, then I can give you a time somewhere after the signing of the agreement.
And
we'll
will
go
it
in
involve
with
the US
Iran.
military?
We'll go in with Iran, and we will take it together, and we will bring it back, 100% of it, back to the United States. If we don't do that, we will get it in a different form, in a much more unfriendly form.
And that
But
unfriendly
in
form,
any
would that
event,
involve war?
excuse me. But in any event, we'll get it.
Obviously, it's going to be war. What the fuck unfriendly form do you think it means? This is massive, by the way. The fact that we're actually going to get all their nuclear dust is insane. The Obama equivalent is giving them $10 billion. Trump is like, instead of giving you $10 billion, we are going to take all of the shit that we deserve. Why do we deserve it? Because we're better. Suck it. Literally suck it. Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all sea mines. Thank you, President DJT. And the Donald posted this nuke on Truth Social.
Sometimes in history,
this is an Iranian civilian posting, President Trump, please help, drawing it on the wall of Iran to help against the regime. I think this means Trump did not forget about the people. And I think some crazy shit is happening behind the scenes.
there's this magic moment. Somebody appears on the scene and everything changes.
I am with you.
We've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, basically, this Iran situation is going to make the lives better for a lot of people. I think this is huge, by the way. I really do. People think that Trump just wants to, like, get out of there at this point. I agree, but I think he also wants to come out winning. All right, Trump's not the type of guy that's like, well, they pushed us around, I guess we'll fold. I don't think they realize what they're dealing with. Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. All right, so this is what we call absolute and utter capitulation. All right, just understand what this means. So Iran, they've been playing hardball this entire time. Oh, we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to completely paralyze the entire world's economy. So Trump decides, all right, well, we'll blockade the fuck out of you, actually. And that sucks for you. And it did suck for them, in fact. In fact, it sucked for them so much that they have opened the Strait of Hormuz for literally everyone except for themselves. Because the blockade is still active. All right, this is just to open it for everyone else because they have to capitulate to every single demand Trump ever makes because they lost a war. That's what happens when people lose wars. I see a lot of people crying and screaming, yelling and bitching, shitting themselves and coming, screaming their heads off. No! No! Why could you ask Iran to do so many things? Oh, because they lost a war. That's how it works. A lot of people don't like winning wars these days. They like doing little gay things, and then everyone else is like, wow, this gay thing happened. Let's post on Twitter about it. So Donald Trump has a very different perspective, and it's the perspective I share as well. When you go to war, you obliterate your enemy until they either surrender completely or die. Now, I know this is not, again, it's not a popular opinion. I'm not saying we should go to war in every circumstance, obviously not. But once war initiates, they either capitulate fully or die. If they refuse to capitulate fully, they'll die. And if they don't want to die, then they have to capitulate fully. These are literally these are the options on the table. So now we're in the middle of this ceasefire where we paralyze the entire Iran economy. They're losing $400 million a day just by the fact that we're closing off all of their exports. All right, so they're strangling themselves. They're gargling in their own blood. And while this is going down, Donald Trump is basically forcing them to do all sorts of things on the negotiating table. Right? Give us the nuclear dust. You're never going to make nuclear weapons. Obviously, you have to give up your missile program. You have to stop funding Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas and all those other terrorist organizations. And also, you have to open up the Strait of Hormuz to make sure this is actually going well. So what we're witnessing here is the negotiations are working because Iran is dying. This was Iran's ace in the hole, and it failed, all right? We are in the capitulate phase, and if they refuse to capitulate, they will die. This is how war works, all right? Just because a couple of libtards in suits told you that that's not how war should work, it doesn't mean that suddenly all of human history is going to change now. Now that the Hormuz Strait situation is over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would need some help. I told them to stay away unless they just want to load up their ships with oil. They were useless when needed. A paper tiger. So he's still going on, man. He is still going on. It's crazy. Now, the IRGC's Navy, this is really fucking funny. The IRGC Navy, this is the Iran's terrorist Navy, called Iran's own foreign minister an idiot over open maritime radio.
In Persian Gulf and Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepa Navy calling you on Channel 16.
Channel 16.
The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader, Imam Khomeini.
He's dead, by the way.
Not by the tweets of some idiot.
Oh! He's referring to the tweets of his own leader, by the way. So because the foreign minister of Iran posted on Twitter, "We are opening the strait." So the actual IRGC Navy, in this absolutely obliteratingly humiliated, fractured government, is crying publicly, calling his own people idiots.
If you want to pass through the strait, you must ask permission from Iranian Sepah Navy. All vessels that have a connection with our enemies will be targeted if they try to pass the Strait of Hormuz out. In Persian Gulf and Oman Sea.
So that's pretty bad. So it seems like the actual Iranian foreign ministers and stuff, they are agreeing to Trump's terms. The actual terrorists that are still bombing civilian ships in the strait, well, they don't like the idea, and they're calling their own people idiots. So absolutely fractured country. All right, their leadership is in absolute shambles. You know, that's what happens when you kill them enough, I guess. But this actually ended up releasing possibly the greatest audio in the history of all time. So this is a Indian oil tanker trying to go through the Strait of Hormuz and got authorization by the actual Iranian foreign minister, but the Iranian terrorists don't agree that are bombing the ships on the strait.
Sepah Navy, this is Motorenga Sanmar Herald. You gave me clearance to go.
You give me clearance to go. I am Sanmar Herald. Please, you give me clearance.
My name second on your list.
Oh, brutal.
You gave me clearance to go. You are fighting now. Let me turn back. Sepah Navy.
Please, let me turn back. I must go back. Please, you give me clearance. Sir, do not sink ship, sir. Sir, you said it was open, sir. Sir, I am on the list, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir, do not sink ship. Do not sink. I'm second on list. Honestly, now, a lot of people are probably going to think that this is in bad taste because this is active terrorism, but my stance is, fuck you. It's funny. The ship was not sunk, the guy was not killed, but he was very scared for a minute there. So yes, as you can see, the entire Iranian government, if you can call it, I don't even know what it is anymore, is in such shambles that you have the foreign minister basically saying we're opening the strait. You have the terrorists that are bombing ships on the strait saying we're not opening the strait. All right, you got absolute chaos within. Definitely the sign of a healthy regime. And Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz. It's pretty good stuff, honestly. It's pretty wild watching this happen again and again. Open and closed, open and closed. Absolute retards. Now, of course, breaking. Following Iran's announcement that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, Britain and France suspended the task force to open the Strait of Hormuz. Like, these guys... These guys are the biggest fucking losers on the planet. These guys are the biggest fucking beta cucks ever. It's unreal. So anyway, just to understand what we're dealing with, this is the UN Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. All right, so this is the UN in Lebanon. This morning, a UN patrol clearing explosive ordnance along the road side of the village of Guandaria is to reestablish links with the isolated UN position under the small arms fire from non-state actors. So non-state actors, well, that sounds like Israel, right? Because they're in Lebanon, they're getting fired at. It sounds like they're getting fired at from Israel. But tragically, a peacekeeper was killed, and these injured peacekeepers were killed. But he never says who killed them. That's so weird. It's so weird. It was Hezbollah. It was Hezbollah terrorists. So you mean Hezbollah? You mean Hezbollah? Like, so this is how the UN operates. We were killed by non-state actors, but they refuse to condemn Hezbollah. It's honestly fucking insane watching this happen. It's truly insanity. All right, this is the breaking news. French paratrooper killed in suspected Hezbollah ambush on UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. All right, so that's what happens. And they're like, oh, non-state actors actually got involved. So Hezbollah is out there murdering French people, murdering UN peacekeepers. Literally no one fucking cares for some reason. Weird. Hezbollah ceasefire violation. Since the ceasefire came into effect, IDF soldiers south of the Yellow Line in southern Lebanon identified several incidents in which terrorists violated the ceasefire understandings by approaching the north of the Yellow Line towards the IDF soldiers, posing an immediate threat. In order to remove the threat, the IDF conducted precise strikes against the terrorists and terrorist infrastructure sites. It's pretty wild how this keeps happening. It really is insane. Meanwhile, let's check out Gaza, where the UN cares so much. Woman living under Hamas rule in Gaza described to Daily Mail how they are sexually abused by terror groups' fighters, forced to have sex in return for food aid. Wow. Seems like the genocide is still going on or something. Meanwhile in Gaza, they're still claiming genocides are happening because they're getting starved by the Hamas terrorists that refuse to actually give them food unless they rape them. Oh, do you want food, starving Palestinian? Well, we'll rape you in exchange. And every leftist protester around the world collectively cheered their bravery. Now, to understand what's truly going on, Trump posted this on Truth Social. This is crazy.
Nicer to Russia is because, and China's freaking out about this,
Yep.
Russia is now willing to start trading on the U.S. dollar again and not in the BRICS currency to join the global market. This would absolutely spell the end of China as we know it. Russia is the last piece of the puzzle to bring China to its knees. And we don't actually have a problem with, well, we shouldn't have a problem with Russian values. They're people. Putin's a Cold War relic. But beyond the neocons and what they want you to believe because they want to keep sending unaccountable money to Ukraine, we should actually have a relationship with Russia. Very similar values amongst the people. And Trump is willing to gamble 30 cents more at a gallon at the pump for like a few weeks to do that. Again, trust the guy. Oil is still remarkably cheaper right now than it was under Joe Biden. But here's the other side that's not entirely public yet. What's China doing right now? They already know they're not in a position to do anything militarily against us. Opponents of the Iran strike are whining that we're depleting our munition reserves. Well, not nearly as much as China's depleted theirs. This attack showed China two things. One, our military is way stronger than they thought. And two, China had put a lot of their air defenses, a lot of their resources and weaponry in Venezuela and Iran, and we took it out in a day.
Awkward.
The screen of the military might of China was decimated in the first 20 hours.
Yeah. So again, understanding that, you know, Venezuela and Iran both had the Chinese weapons to stop the United States. They both fell in a day, essentially. They all lost their leaders in the first couple of minutes of the war, and then it was just basically cleaning up the shit over the next couple of days. And now we're in a ceasefire where we strangled their economy, and China is forced to capitulate to us. So China is terrified because Russia is looking to move towards a U.S. currency instead of a BRICS currency. All of their defense systems in Venezuela and in Iran, all that didn't work at all. And Trump has a massive meeting with China coming up. President Xi is very happy that the Strait of Hormuz is open or rapidly opening. Our meeting in China will be special and potentially historic. I look forward to being with President Xi. Much will be accomplished. So Trump is tweeting about this while China is losing grip on literally every bit of power that they actually have. Like, Trump is reshuffling the deck on the entire situation, except he's putting the United States on top. The entire world order is shifting dramatically to being essentially subservient to us, which is great, actually. Now, Trump wanted to remind the fact that the NATO retards have been incredibly unhelpful. You know, thank you to Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar for your great bravery and help. You know, whether people like Israel or not, they have proven to be a great ally of the United States of America. They are courageous, bold, loyal, and smart. And unlike others that have shown their true colors in a moment of conflict and stress, Israel fights hard and knows how to win. I think that's what Trump likes about Israel, ultimately. They stack bodies, you know. People complain about it, but you know, Israel, they get attacked, they fight back, and they win wars. You know, some people would argue they don't win enough. I mean, they haven't lost a war yet, but some would argue that they're, you know, not going far enough in specific areas. So despite the propaganda and shit, we see people winning wars, and it's pretty wild, in fact, to notice.
And there's been no better teammate than Israel. Together, the four best air forces in the world, the Israeli Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, and the air forces of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps.
That's together crazy. That's the United States is 3 of the 4 best air forces on the planet. That's crazy.
Exceeded our own military objectives over and over again. And there's been no better...
Essentially, what we are witnessing is this entire, like, the libtard order is collapsing in front of us. Like, all the European nations that are, let's be honest, getting taken over by Sharia law as we speak, all the libtard nations in Europe are losing their spot as our greatest allies. And they're really being replaced with countries like El Salvador and Argentina and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE and Israel and Japan, ultimately. But all the Eurocucks are dying. Now, Kamala Harris is going on, like, this whole tirade about how Israel is dragging us into the war. You know, she fully fell into like the HASAN PIKER talking point. She's going to try to run for another election in 2028, which, please God, let her try. You know, she's going to try to be like this anti-Israel voice now.
He entered a war, got pulled into it by Bibi Netanyahu. Let's be clear about that.
Let's be clear about that.
Entered a war that the American people do not want.
Oh my God, she's speaking for the American people. Well, she said that also here when she was talking about gas prices.
Hey everyone, so I'm here in Charlotte since the start of Trump's war of choice. It's 15 more dollars every time you fill up your tank of gas.
Notice how she doesn't reference the fact that it was literally higher under Biden when, let me remind you, this retard was the vice president.
The price of diesel has now gone up 80% since the start of the war.
Anyway, it's back down now, thank God, because the Strait of Hormuz is basically open to us, essentially. But the funniest part is, so this is her new campaign, and as you can see, 4 million views, 27,000 likes. That's really bad. That's really bad. You sent hundreds of billions of dollars to fund a war in Ukraine while my neighbors in Western Carolina drowned in their homes. We begged you for help for months, you ignored us. Like, dude, she is getting humiliated. This was under Biden and Harris, all right? 750. Look at that every single time. Oh my lord. So it's pretty crazy watching her go like full shill. It's Israel pulling us into this war with Iran. But also the war with Iran is ruining the gas prices. But the funniest part is, if you actually listen to what she had to say over here, this was before the 2024 election. She basically said she was planning a war with Iran.
Let's hit on some more foreign policy. Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
Well, there are different reasons that we should be thoughtful about each. Most recently, I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran.
Huh.
And look, I mean, Iran has American blood on their hands.
Huh.
Okay? And what we saw in terms of just this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles, what we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
I don't talk about hypotheticals. I'm a libtard. Hypotheticals aren't real. Hypothetically, if you didn't eat breakfast this morning, would you be hungry? But I did eat breakfast this morning. This is literally the libtard mind every time. But the answer is obviously that she was leading up to is, yeah, they're the number one threat. We're worried about them. If they're developing nukes, we're going to have to stop them. Well, how? Are you going to write them a letter? Are you going to give them billions of dollars like Obama and Biden? So the funniest thing is, she would have done exactly this, except she would have probably followed the Bush doctrine, and we would have been stuck in a 10-year-long war. Trump managed to bring them to their absolute knees in 40 days where they are sucking their absolute hardest, kissing the ring in every possible angle they can, giving us not only literally everything, but they are dying in the process. It's incredible stuff. All right, so anyway, Trump posted a video of Frank Sinatra performing My Way, you know, and now the end is near. I faced the final curtain, regrets I've had a few, but then too few to mention I did it my way. I can't show you this because of copyright, but he posted this video. This is 10 times more ominous than a whole civilization will die tonight. All right, this is fucking scary. Oh my God, this is scary. All right, he's gonna nuke Iran, isn't he? This is wild, bro. A Frank Sinatra song. Oh my God, it's so over. People losing their mind. And of course, Trump, you know, he decides to make people aware of exactly the goal here.
And very soon, this great strength will also bring about a day, 70 years in waiting.
Uh-oh.
It's called A New Dawn for Cuba.
Oh,
we're going to help them out with Cuba. We have a lot of great Cuban Americans. Not too many people in this audience, I don't think, but you go to Miami, we have people, Cuban Americans, people that were brutally treated, whose families were killed and brutalized. And now, watch what happens. Under this, and very
I sure hope the leftist influencers get out on time. But this is huge. Just straight up saying it. All right, we're going there. We're going here. We're just liberating all the countries where retards are getting are in power. Every single one of the retard countries, we're gonna take them down. You know why? Because we can. People might be upset, but you know what? They can't do anything about it. They literally can't do anything about it. What's England gonna do? Send one old rickety warship to fight us? I don't think so. All right, and I'm beginning to understand how Trump bankrupted a casino now. You know, people are just looking in absolute awe at all the chips falling exactly the way Trump wants them, and they're just like, is he just the luckiest fucking guy on the planet, or was this the plan? Or was this gigantic domino effect of, you know, wipe out Venezuela, you know, weaken Cuba, wipe out Iran, you know, wipe out Cuba, make them all our allies. China's now weak. Russia wants to come to the table because they can't get their oil. They can't get their free drones. China has no oil. China has no money. All of a sudden, the entire hemisphere is kind of on our side. We no longer have to deal with existential threats around the world. The entire world order is basically buying oil now from America instead of Iran. Oil prices are back down. Gas prices are back down. The economy is skyrocketing. The stock market is at an all-time high. No one's even talking about how tariffs are supposed to bankrupt us anymore because they were a massive success. It kind of seems like things are just, you know, falling into Trump's lap. And these guys are all like, oh, he's demented. He's a blathering idiot. And literally everything fucking works out. Coincidence? I think not. Now, let's just say Donald Trump is on an absolute tear right now. So first, I have to show you how he's torching NATO, and all of NATO is losing their mind because, wow, we can't be cucks anymore in today's economy. It doesn't work, and Trump can just do things, actually. All right, so he's still beefing with the Pope. We got leftoids losing their mind. Joe Rogan showed up in the Oval Office. He's literally on fire.
And now that the Hormuz Strait situation is almost over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would like some help. Thank you very much, NATO. And I told them I would have liked your help 2 months ago, but now I really don't want your help anymore.
Oh my God.
Because they were absolutely useless when we needed them. But actually, we never needed them. They needed us. They need us. They need us so badly. And now that the...
He's just completely right. He is. We're 70% of NATO's funding, 70% of NATO's military. NATO's terrified of Russia. They expect us to pay for their war with Ukraine and Russia for literally forever. We're writing blank checks to these retards, and they do nothing in return. Oh my God, bro. What a scary time it is to be a retard in Europe. Sorry, Europeans. So breaking news. Merz from Germany, Starmer from England, Macron from France, and Meloni from Italy issue a joint statement in Paris. They're sending a naval mission to the Hormuz Strait to protect freedom of navigation. Wow, the chuckle fucks have gotten together to work together, link arm in arm in their little orgy of homosexual rage as they are going to send a gay group of complete dumb fucks and quacks into now they're going to show up, they're going to save the day. Like the thing is, and I think it's important to note, the war's over. The Strait of Hormuz is essentially open. They've lost all their military in Iran. There's nothing to worry about. And now that the chuckle fucks realize that the war is done, they're going to get involved. So understand how it worked. So we asked them for help. They refused to help. We asked them to use their military bases. They refused to help. We did everything ourselves anyway because they didn't need anything. Us and Israel, we worked together. We obliterated the fuck out of these retards, all right? We put a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz to essentially say anyone can go through if you want, except for Iran, because we want to strangle their economy. And people say that that's not fair. Unfortunately for them, they don't make the rules because they're weak as shit. And you have to be strong to make rules. If you're weak as balls, your opinion means nothing, actually, in real life. Only in libtard, abstract, fake reality do these things matter. You know, if you think men could be women, well, then you think that weak people can make rules. If reality matters to you, then no, actually, we don't have to listen to a tribe in Africa who's, like, actually putting bones in their noses and brushing their teeth with sticks and cracking each other's skulls open because they think that there's gold inside of their skulls. Sorry, bro. Their opinion really doesn't matter to me at all, actually. Now, these dumb fucks actually think that, you know, strongly worded letters in meetings about having more meetings is actually important. So these guys got together to now that literally everything is done, basically. All right, they're going to get together. They're going to send forth a mission. And this is pretty awesome. Now, I see a lot of people telling me, what? I thought Meloni was based. I thought she was awesome and based because she's like a right wing. Everyone was saying she's far right once she won in Italy. And now she's being a complete cuck, joining up with the cuck squadron of libtards and faggots to join forces to become gay. Now, I said this right when she got elected, and I got a lot of shit for it, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm sure I'm gonna get shit for it again. But she is female. And I say this purely from statistics, but statistically, men are gangsters. In the Bible, when God kept selecting leaders for the Israelites, suspiciously, they were all men, except for one. And I think that's a statistic that kind of holds true when it comes to gangsters. So yeah, we're witnessing the cuck squadron in all of his glory. Meloni, right? This is based right-wing Italian woman, girl boss. Government approved 500,000 work visas for non-EU migrants. Interesting how that keeps happening. Isn't that really interesting? She is like the anti-migration, like right-wing deportation queen. Sometimes I absolutely hate being right, but this time I was. So this is Spain's prime minister, doing one of his little gay speeches. The right and the extreme right that oppose his regularization of 500,000 migrants. We are children of migration in Spain. We will not be the parents of xenophobia. We are proud to be on the right side of history. As they literally give amnesty and citizenship to 500 to 800,000 illegal invaders. They just poof give them citizenship in order to win elections because they don't want to be xenophobic, of course. In other words, they want to steal elections. So Spain, who notoriously was built on a complete retard system of totally not doing any forms of inquisitions to get rid of hostile Islamic invaders, is now completely capitulating to hostile Islamic invaders. It's insane watching it happen. The Pope continues doing his Pope thing. I don't know what's been going on with this guy. Africa is a reservoir of joy and hope for the whole world. So you just decided to lie? All right, bro. Anyway, whatever. Anywho, Catholics, no abortions. Democrats, fuck you. Catholics, no gay marriage. Democrats, fuck you. Catholics, no trans kids. Democrats, fuck you. Pope Leo, open your borders. Infinity welfare. Trump, fuck you. Democrats, oh my God, Trump hates Catholics. This is the new op. The new op is that actually Trump hates Catholics, and Catholics all need to be Democrats because Democrats respect the Pope. All right, this is the new op that you see everywhere. You see it so often. It's truly insane. So Ed Markey over here, this is a senator retard. Or to be clear, I'm on Team Pope. Wow, so brave, Mr. Abortion. Mr. Abortion over here, I'm on Team Pope. Understand exactly where your enemies are. Understand the psyop that is being perpetrated on you, manipulating your faith, and honestly, trying to manipulate the best of us, the people that actually do believe in God and want to fight for a better future, to join forces with the worst of us. The party of baby murder is on the side of the Pope right now. So, again, people are actually finally understanding that this is a psyop. Even a libtard, Trump derangement syndrome guy over here, Bill Maher, is noticing.
I love hypocritical America. I really do. See, the liberals suddenly love the Pope. The Pope, who 2 weeks ago was all in the headlines. You know why? Exorcisms. Yeah, this big thing about we got to the demons are all around, the devil. That's who the fucking Pope is, okay? A guy who does exorcism, doesn't believe in gay marriage, no women priests. But now, because he's feuding with Trump, MSNBC loves this guy. He's got a big speech on the floor from Chuck Schumer. Eric Swalwell sent him a dick pic.
Right? So again, the Democrats who hate religion, who hate God, and who absolutely hate the Pope are now all the Pope's biggest fans of all time. Understand what's going on. Understand what we're dealing with here. Right? It is so obvious. And now these are the people that, people like the Pope are actually celebrating bringing into our countries.
This going viral? What is this?
What are you smashing the wall down for?
This is just like a nice old wall.
What are you smashing the wall up for? Why are you smashing the wall down? It's not your fucking wall. It's not your fucking wall. I've just watched you chucking bricks trying to smash the wall down. I don't care, it's not your wall. There's a path up there off the main road. There's a path on over there. This is not your property, dude. You can't just go around smashing shit up because you want to go through it. Shout at you. I don't care, dude. It's not your wall. I've just watched you and videoed you smashing the wall up. It's not your wall. Then leave it the alone then. Then leave the wall alone.
That's right.
It's a dry stone wall. It's been up for hundreds of years. Dry stone wall, hundreds of years. Cost thousands of pounds per metre to put it right. And you think you can come around here and smash a hole in it?
Yes, he
because
does.
You want to get through. Walk down there.
This is what conquest looks like, by the way.
There's a gap in the wall down there.
Can't you climb over it?
Walk through that one.
It's not about being able to traverse through the wall. That's not relevant.
Down that wall and you'll find one that's already opened up down there. There is no need for you to be smashing the fucking property up.
What are you recording me for, though?
To put you on Facebook.
Why are you putting me on Facebook?
I love how honest this guy is. But why are you recording me? Because I will put you on the fucking internet and radicalize a couple of limeys.
There he is. Oh my God. And fucking scumbag, how would you punish him? I just deport him. Just deport him, send him back. It will be the best solution. They're gone.
That's
you can't make him rebuild the wall.
problem.
If you do, he's going to mess it up. He's not going to do it right. It's going to be a huge pain in the ass. Then
Guy obviously did not assimilate.
the only way to deal with it is you just send them back to where they came from. The experiment didn't work. It obviously didn't work. It's time to move on. Imagine ruining the wall of China. Yeah, exactly. Basically, my opinion is that a person like this cannot exist in Western society. You just deport them or you put them in jail. That's it. That's the solution. Just get rid of them.
I love how, like, so many people are finally waking up to this solution that not every culture can coexist, especially when one culture has the perspective of, oh, we are just coming in to conquer you. This guy doesn't care about the past. He doesn't care about history. He doesn't care about this wall. He doesn't care about anything that makes England England. All right? I'm not trying to be controversial here or anything, but this guy thinks that there's no purpose to this wall, so he's going to take it down. It is not a curable problem by just education. Because this guy doesn't want to get fucking educated. He wants to take over. He wants to turn England into wherever shithole he actually came from. All right. Now, Donald Trump still on fire. All right. Not a Eurocuck, it seems. He's out there talking about legalizing psychedelics with Joseph Rogan.
I want to tell everybody how this happened.
Now, the reason why this is really funny is because Joe Rogan has been criticizing Trump on his podcast for like the last year, talking about how, oh, Trump is mean to the immigrants by deporting them. Get fucking out of here, Joe Rogan. That's why you're not the president. You're just a bald, normal guy on a podcast. All right, people like listening to what you have to say because you have like the normal dude bro's opinion. All right, so you know, get out of here with this shit, man. So, oh, it's too mean to the immigrants. Too mean to the immigrants. We got to be stuffing these guys into cannons and launching them across the seas. Sorry, man. That's my stance on immigration. If you're illegal in the country, you have to go. You had the right to deport yourself. You didn't want to, now you have to leave. Right now, he's criticizing Trump for the Iran war. But that didn't stop him from suckling Donald Trump's toesies. Dude, I've noticed that. I've noticed the thing about Trump is you kind of have to suck his dick. You just have to. Otherwise, you're going to get steamrolled. And honestly, that's what makes him a man. That's a man. This is a leader, an actual leader. People don't like it, but they can lump it.
I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it.
That's my guy. No bullshit. No infinite bureaucracy. No 20 years of research. No. And by the way, one of the major reasons why this is massive is because this makes Big Pharma really upset. Big Pharma doesn't like actually solutions to problems that don't actually make you spend millions of dollars on pharmaceuticals. All right, so Big Pharma absolutely hates all of this stuff. Anything organic, anything different, anything that doesn't go through their greedy, sweaty little fucking hands, right? They don't have any interest in. And Trump is not owned by the pharma lobby. Pharma owns the Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, who claims to be for like Medicaid and shit. He's owned by pharma, which is why he doesn't let any of this shit go through. You know, all the based people that want free Medicaid are actually owned by pharma. So Donald Trump is just like, oh, a solution? Hell yeah, let's do this. It just moves on.
It was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
Oh, damn. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. So it seems like things are actually schmoving.
Up and he said, you know, I said, how can that be possible? How can it be possible? $87. And actually, a friend of mine called me up and he said, you know, he's a very rich guy, and he happens to be on this Ozempic, I guess, at the time. and it was not working, by the way. Extremely successful, but
it wasn't working. He was still fat as fuck. It was Xi Jinping, by the way.
Highly neurotic. Got a lot of problems. I will not mention his name. He's begging me not to mention it because he's become quite famous. He's a big factor here.
Yeah, so Joe Rogan cracking in the background. Bro still got it, man. Bro still got it.
They have a lot of
Trump some information. We have a gigantic.
Right. So anyway, so that's actually pretty huge. Now, again, this is just.
It just seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean,
yo, it's so weird that we're at war.
This is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right?
People feel so betrayed that we're at war with Iran. You know the thing that Donald Trump has been saying that he was planning on doing for like the last 40 years? Like, that's how you know that so many of these people are actually just complete losers. Because Trump has been talking about going to war with Iran for 40 years, saying that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon for 40 years. In fact, right before becoming president, he said that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. No, he's doing just that without boots on the ground, without a 10-year-long infinite regime change war, installing liberal democracy. We're not doing any of that bullshit. Like, he is literally keeping every promise.
Ran on no more wars.
He never said no more wars, ever.
These stupid, senseless wars, and then...
This is not a stupid, senseless war.
We have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
It's so fucking clear, it's brutally clear. Like, they had 60% enriched uranium. They had missiles that reached 4,000 kilometers. It's so clear, actually. We're attacking them while they're weak so we can obliterate them, because fuck them. That's why we're doing it, and it's very clear. Now, libtards are very mad at Donald Trump for dropping this one, but I think Trump's just so fucking based for this. Like, they're so mad.
In 2024 study from Stanford University, 30 special operation veterans with traumatic brain injuries underwent, it's called ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, would you say? Yes. I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please? I'll take some.
That's our guy.
I'll take whatever it takes. I don't have time to be depressed. You know, if you stay busy enough, maybe that works too.
So the libtards very mad about this one. I don't have time to be depressed. Just stay busy. The libtards super mad. Unbelievable. As you can see, 2 million views. People furious. How could you say that? And you want to know something true? And this is going to be controversial. He's right. Now, some depression comes from actual chemical imbalances in your body, and it's not just magical, just get busy and you'll forget to be depressed. So some depression is actually very real. Some depression absolutely comes from people wasting their life away and not feeling accomplished in anything that they do. I mean, I've spoken to people that are in Israel during wars, running into bunkers every 2 hours because missiles are flying at their houses, and those guys are living life and they're loving life. They don't have time to worry about transgenderism if they're too worried about not, becoming Hezbollah toothpaste. So many of the issues that we're seeing in modern society are just unbelievably entitled retards thinking they deserve more. You look at America, there's no starvation crisis in America. No one's starving. No one's dying of hunger everywhere. Anyone that is hungry, go to your local church and they will feed you. There is not a starvation crisis. On the contrary, there's an obesity crisis. People, for the most part, are richer than they ever have been throughout all of human history, despite screaming about billionaires and socialism. I've said this before and I'll say it again. People are really mad that they see a billionaire in a mansion while they are living in a 2-bedroom apartment. In the old days, there would be a billionaire in a palace while they are literally dying of hunger, getting eaten by rats on the streets of Flea Bottom. And because of this overwhelmingly entitled society, we have these fucking liberal white women in colleges that got everything in their life paid for, all right? And they get degrees in fucking underwater gay sex therapy, all right? And now they do nothing with their lives. They're just deeply miserable people, and they need to go out and they need to protest Trump, and they cry about depression. Every single one of them is self-diagnosed with some other fucking mental disorder. Bro is kind of cooking here. And everyone's laughing about this because it's just insane how much winning we're actually seeing. A lot of people cry about the losses that we're taking. And I'll be real. I think Trump needs to go a lot harder, specifically on the deportations. I think that's one of the massive things Trump needs to do. But the winning that's happening cannot be understated.
So Joe Rogan, this is what happened today. Donald Trump has decided to, I'm not even kidding you, allow research or some sort of legalization for like psychedelics.
We all respect Joe, and he's a little bit more liberal than... That's okay. I have a lot of friends that are liberal, but Joe is an amazing guy, and he wrote me a little note about this, and I had it checked out. Everybody thought it was...
People are hate me for this, but you see, the thing is, you know why Trump has a lot of friends that are liberal? Because Trump is an old school liberal. Trump is way too liberal for me. All right, I am way more conservative than Donald Trump. And I know that people will think that I'm like some actual, like, you know, mustache twirling Nazi guy, all right, just for saying that. But Trump is way too liberal, not nearly conservative enough. Absolutely. Like, bro, we still have gay marriage in this country. What are we doing? My guy, we literally have abortion in this country. What are we doing? Like, I want Old Testament justice on the streets, okay? All right, so from my perspective, Donald Trump is a liberal. He's an old school liberal, and that's why he's friends with other old school liberals. It's just the world has gone so far retarded left, woke bullshit, amoral retards, that he seems like a conservative.
Incredible. Bobby, I said, Bobby, let's just do it.
Trump signs order to speed psychedelic research for veterans' mental health. See, my dad was ahead of the curve with this. He agreed that this bill was signed years and years and years ago, right? Made things better for him, by the way. It did. It improved things for him. So I am totally in favor of this.
I said, how can that be possible? How can it be possible? $87. And actually, a friend of mine called me up and he said, you know, he's a very rich guy, and he happens to be on this Ozempic, I guess, and it was not working, by the way. The guy is extremely successful, but highly neurotic. Got a lot of problems. I will not mention his name. He's begging me not to mention it because he's become quite famous.
He's a fat piece of shit, and he's crazy.
Okay.
Mr. President, antidepressants right now are the most prescribed class of medication in the country. Over 20% of women are
Which is insane.
On an antidepressant.
Bro, if you're on an antidepressant, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I'm sorry, man. I'm a simple man. I'm trying to find solutions wherever I can find them. If you're on antidepressants, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. All right, that's extreme, maybe. No, it's not extreme enough. We need to limit voting immediately. All right, too many retards.
Is that good in terms of do they work?
There's highly problematic.
Well, I would like to say that, like, over 20% could also mean, like, 90%, which I think in that case would be accurate.
We have a mental health crisis. And
do they work?
No. They don't. I'm on.
I would not have.
Oh,
we'll get you down in a second. We'll get you down in a second.
I said, okay, can I be next? But no, it is definitely an issue for women.
Damn, no, they don't.
80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression. 1 month.
That's
Can
a
I
lot.
have some, please? I'll take some. I'll take whatever it takes.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses.
Wow.
It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With 1 dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval?
That's
Let's
my
do it.
guy. That's him.
Literally that.
Yeah, look at that
These
smile.
drugs are illegal, not
Damn.
because they're harmful. They're illegal.
Thank fucking God we have people like men of action in government. I wish you... Can you just do that with everything? That's what we need to do with everything.
Because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard...
to be honest, we're seeing it a lot more. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring attention to this. It's like, you know, Joe Rogan actually notices a major issue, or whatever he deems as a major issue, and he texts Donald Trump, and Trump's like, you know what, let's fucking do it. You know, and now they're fucking doing it. They're doing the research, and we'll see if this actually happens. If it works, that'll be huge. And we're seeing this more and more. You know, for all the crying and stuff, you know, Nick Shirley investigates fraud, and all of a sudden, bam, we got tons of fraud getting shut down. JD Vance is leading an anti-fraud task force. You know, like, people are crying about the Epstein files. We got the Epstein files. Maybe not as unredacted as we would like, absolutely. However, we got a metric fuck ton of information that we didn't have before. You know, like, the reality is, we actually have people that are doing things now.
Nixon administration.
And I think this is even more importantly than the fact that this administration is doing things. I think this is going to set the bar for the future. We are only going to want to actually elect people that want to do things. And this is changing our mindset of how government doesn't really actually do anything ever. And we just kind of have to exist, and our government has to exist too. You know, and I think a lot of people had that expectation for a very long time. Right? We're going to elect people because like we kind of have to elect people that'll make moderate differences, but ultimately no one really does anything anyway. And now I think we're actually developing the mindset of we could actually do things. Our actions actually matter.
56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that you see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
W. Great. I mean, this is awesome. I'm happy.
Yeah,
so
I'm just happy things are happening. I'm not gonna lie, it's massive. We are at a completely new era. This is like an actual massive crossroads that we've been on for a while, and we are witnessing it in front of our very eyes. People getting elected, not because there's some entrenched politician guy like Trump, who never was a politician guy, but just because they're gonna literally fucking do things. Trump is a charismatic dude that just does things. Shit happens when he's president, and that's what I think people want. Is he radical enough? No. Is he conservative enough? No. People might think that I'm insane for saying these things because, you know, everyone on the left thinks Trump is a fascist Hitler. But if you think Trump is a fascist Hitler, then you have no idea what's coming. Our generation, oh, we're going to elect someone fucking diabolical. There's nothing you could do to stop it. Pretty insane developments happening on the Trump government area. Buckley Carlson, the son of Tucker Carlson, is no longer employed by the White House, where he served as Deputy Press Secretary to Vice President J.D. Vance. This is massive, by the way. So Tucker Carlson has been openly feuding with Donald Trump a lot lately, and by a lot, I mean a lot. And the truth is, we are witnessing this in real time. So Donald Trump tweeted this: "It's easy. Tucker is a low IQ person, always easy to beat, and highly overrated. So are Megyn Kelly, Candace, in quotes, really dumb and mentally ill, and bankrupt Alex Jones, who is completely fried. There are others also. Then we have some that are very good, true MAGA, all the way, and smart. I would do a list of good, bad, and somewhere in the middle. Wouldn't that be fascinating?" Bro's gonna do like a influencer tier list. And then, you know, obviously they show the CNN post about how Trump is up by 61 in the GOP, and Carlson is up by 7. 7, by the way, is not a lot. This means that like 7% of Republicans like him, and, you know, obviously Donald Trump is a lot more beloved than that. The truth is, this was never a competition. Tucker Carlson is like a complete whack job at this point, and everyone's noticing. Like, this is a Tucker Carlson post that he just made today. All right. The leader of our country is saying, "I will take no instruction from God," because he showed in his recent meme, "I am God." So this kind of raises the question, is that okay? Seems to be okay. Anyway, Trump never said this. Trump never said, "I will take no instruction from God." He also never said, "I am God." All right. He made a tasteless meme. I agree. What are we even doing here, man? Like, this is crazy. And there's no protests. I don't understand. Right? Like, he became a complete and utter whack job. So Tucker Carlson responded to this tweet in possibly the gayest fashion I've ever seen. How it feels not being a slave to another man in the Big 26. Literally the gayest fucking post I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Not even gonna lie. So he has gone full shill for Islam lately, and honestly, it's been insane to watch. Again, this is another instance of putting another shekel in the Nux was always right jar, because I called him out like a year ago, and people were, you know, very upset at me, obviously, because, you know, he had a strong conservative base. And at this point, everyone's on my side. Wow, how things change. He's literally talking about how Pakistanis are nicer than white people, you know, like I showed in my previous video. But anyway, so he was recently beefing with Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David and Tucker Carlson are at war right now, and Patrick Bet-David not only insinuates that Tucker Carlson converted to Islam, but also literally challenges Tucker Carlson to prove that he isn't being funded by Islam, or Qatar, or Iran, or any of these other retard places. Nux, did you call them a retard place? Did you just insult Islam? You can't insult Islam! I'm sorry, man. I'm talking about people that brush their teeth with a stick that worships a pedophile. They have open day modern slavery and child marriage. Yes, they're retard places. If you don't like it, go live there. You can't even draw pictures of pedophiles in these countries or they'll send you to jail for making fun of their prophet. Anyway, this beef is diabolical. We gotta watch.
Here's Patrick Bet-David on his podcast.
Here we go.
A day or two ago. Watch this.
I don't know why Catholics, you know, have this issue with Jews. I don't know what it is. They have this.
The Catholic Jew drama is insane.
This, you know, I don't, listen, I get the Jews have issues with Christians and they'll make fun and they'll say stuff like, oh, your Jesus is going to do, you know, they'll say, well, he was a Jew anyways, right?
Yeah.
But then
Hey, Jew here. I don't say that shit. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I actually have the utmost respect for Christians. My stance is that Jews and Christians essentially serve the same God and have a difference of opinion on who the Messiah is. Christians say it's Jesus, and Jews say, well, we don't know who it is until he shows up at the end times. If it's Jesus that shows up at the end times, then the Jews will all follow him. I don't know. Every time I see a Christian pray that I find Jesus, honestly, it makes me happy. And I get a lot of people in my comments saying stuff like that, and I appreciate it because it means that you want me to find salvation, and you don't want me to be damned to hell for, you know, my sins. And that is the highest praise I could get. I don't know why people get so offended by this. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Patrick Bet-David versus Tucker Carlson drama.
Catholics have that issue with Jews. And they act like, you know, they're all innocent and everything. And when you look at Catholics, the amount of centralized power they have.
Well, the truth is, I mean, Catholics and Jews have been beefing for a while, I'm not going to lie, at different times. Inquisitors tortured and killed Jews to force them to convert at different times. Jews, very, very well known, have tattled to the Romans to kill Jesus. So, you know, there was a lot of beef. I'm not going to deny any of that. And I understand that different people have different perspectives on things. My stance is Jews and Christians have 90% overlap on, you know, our basic philosophies. You know, we have 75% overlap on our Bible. We worship the same God, and honestly, I am hoping that we could all unify at the end of days, or even before that would be even better. And I think anyone in either party that advocates for differences or wants to destroy the other, I think is grossly falling into the trap of the really bad guy. But anywho.
Centralized. If you know what the total Catholic population is worldwide? It's like 1.213
That's it?
billion.
I thought it was more. I thought it was like more like 1.5 billion.
Jews are 15 million.
15 million.
But Jews are decentralized, meaning Jews don't have somebody they listen to that says, hey, you better do this. Catholics, God forbid you say something about the Pope. They're like, hey, man, listen, who is that Pope figure in the Christian community? We don't have one. No. If I ask you right now who's the Pope in the Christian community, you don't have somebody to look at. Who is it? Which pastor?
And 1.422 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they don't.
We don't have one.
It's an independent network.
It's just the Bible. So if you look at only Catholics and Muslims have somebody that they look at as their supreme leader, like, you know, you got to go to somebody. But even more, it's Catholic.
Well, there's only two theocracies in the world.
Catholicism?
Islam. I'm sorry, the Islamic Republic of Iran. And the Vatican.
Yeah.
Those are the two major theocracies.
There's a pretty big difference. You know, one is out there massacring tens of thousands of people, and the other one is not. But yeah, I guess they're both theocracies.
So actually, the Vatican is very much like the Nazi Iranian government.
He became a leftist. He actually became a leftist. Look, man, by the fact that they said that they're both theocracies, it doesn't mean that they're both doing the exact same thing. He actually became a leftist. He just doesn't engage with what words mean anymore. What happened to Tucker? Yeah, they are both theocracies. One is a theocracy that follows a demon, and the other one is not. A theocracy, the Vatican follows God, right? So what are we doing here?
Theocratic government, the mullahs, it's all basically the same. They've got the complicated dress.
He just said that they're both theocracies. He didn't say that. Oh my God, dude.
They hate the Jews, as Patrick Bet-David just said.
It didn't say all Catholics hate the Jews, whereas it literally states in the Quran that you have to massacre Jews and Christians wherever you find them. So yeah, the Iranian theocracy is a very dangerous one, obviously. Like, why are we making you believe this isn't true?
Catholics have a problem with the Jews. A problem with the Jews. It's slander.
Yeah, you would know.
It's an attack.
I literally made an entire video saying that Israeli President Herzog was on Epstein's Island raping kids, and had to apologize when he got sued.
On the world's largest and oldest Christian denomination, and is taking place openly.
Like, what are we even doing here? Like, are we being serious?
And it's all coming from the same source.
The Jews. Say it.
Which is Israel.
Such a coward. Just say the Jews. Just say the Jews. Don't be a pussy about it. It's the Jew. Patrick Bet-David's a Christian Iranian. Look, what are we even doing here? He's not Jewish. He's not Israeli. What are we even doing?
The issue is Israel. Anyone who supports the Netanyahu government, not Israel as a concept, not all Jews. No, the Netanyahu government. Anyone who ratifies every decision, no matter how violent or grotesque or genocidal of the Netanyahu government,
I
goes the good.
don't know anyone that just immediately agrees with everything Netanyahu says. You know, he lost elections in Israel before, right?
People, and anyone who doesn't is a Nazi. And by the way, their religion itself is a Nazi religion. It's inherently
He never said Catholicism's a Nazi religion. What are we even doing here?
anti-Semitic religion.
So Tucker, it's interesting. I watched this video a few times, and respectfully, I want to respond to you because you're a formidable voice. Whether I agree with you or not, you're somebody that's very good at getting your message out there. And I think at this point, you know, if there's anybody that believes in your ability, it's a guy like this, who after I sold my company, offered you a $100 million contract. I even went on your friend Megyn Kelly's show when I announced it, and she was
another retard.
Asking specific questions. I said, yep, we went to your house, we made the offer, then we spent some time together. I came to Maine, and we did your show, and we've had a couple good conversations together. So I believe in you. I think you're funny, quirky, very good communication, and you have...
I think he's paid off. I think he's a foreign asset. I think he's a CIA operative. I think he's dangerous. I think he's trying to drive a wedge into our country. I think he's trying to destroy the Trump's government, for example, specifically. I think he's a tool for evil at this point, basically on all of his shows.
Your way of doing things, it's almost like you do twist words a lot, and I noticed you did that with me. He hates Catholics. You know, he hates this. Catholics hate the Jews, and all this stuff that you did. It's a little bit of your shtick, which I get. But let me kind of get into a few things I want to address.
Wow, he's not even getting into the specifics at all. He is business. I respect that, because that was insane.
With you in this video, maybe you're not aware of it. A few things you need to know about me. My number one priority is to make sure America stays as the greatest country in the world. Period, full stop. I'm America first. I'm a Christian, non-denominational Christian that you need to know about me. And by the way, I'm Armenian, which, by the way, the first nation that accepted Christianity as their religion was Armenians. And the only ones that debate Armenians on them being first is Assyrians, and my dad is Assyrian. Maybe that's the reason why my parents divorced each other twice, married each other, and divorced each other. So Armenian, Assyrian, Christian, America first. I want this thing to be the greatest country in the world.
You know who's in America first? Tucker Carlson, Mr. We need to submit to Russia and China and create a new world order. He literally said that on his show. Again, I think he's an operative. I think we're getting played. I think there's a huge psyop by a lot of these guys that recently backstabbed Trump all at the same time. And I think a lot of people are actually falling for it, which is why I'm really happy that Patrick Bet-David is actually taking the fight to him. You know, big voices didn't want to beef with this guy because, you know, you'd end up getting called out, and there's a large fan base that are on his side. I never cared about any of that. I always said exactly what I felt, which is why I think people actually watch my videos. But dude, this guy's Patrick Bet-David is so based for this. Holy shit. No, it's so funny how this keeps happening. Like, you have a lot of people, and I disagree on both sides. You have a lot of people, like Jews, call out Catholics for, you know, being not America first because, you know, your allegiance is with the Pope. It's not with America. It's with the Vatican. If the Pope told you to vote Democrat, you would vote Democrat. You wouldn't vote for America. So you have dual loyalty. You don't really have loyalty to America. You have loyalty to the church. And you have a lot of people on the other side, on the more Catholic area, saying Jews have a dual loyalty. They have a dual loyalty to Israel. They'll vote for whatever gets Israel better. And, you know, I do think that there are probably some Jews that have dual loyalty. I could think of some. There are probably some Catholics that have dual loyalty. Sure, whatever. But this broad strokes, like just, you know, gigantic brush that people brush people as is insane. My stance is also I want America to be the #1 superpower in the world. I think that America needs to do exactly what America does to make itself as superior as possible. And as many of these people cry and scream about humanitarian bullshit, no, we actually shouldn't kill terrorists. I think that's fucking retarded. We need to obliterate our enemies. So yeah, I actually share that stance.
First, I want this thing to be the greatest country in the world. I want capitalism to be common sense for everybody to realize that if a new person wants to come up and have their dreams become a reality, I want that to be out there. But I wonder if that's where you are today.
He's not.
You were always there.
He talks about socialism now.
For many years until what's happened with you the last couple of years. So let me kind of address a few things. So you said something a couple weeks ago. You said Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced
That's a weird
than the
one.
West. Huh. It's interesting.
You know they have Christian slaves in these countries, right? Like in Qatar, which you just bought a house in. You do realize they have Christian slaves.
Sharia law has made Islamic
You realize they marry children there.
societies more advanced than the West? It's a pretty bold statement. I mean, it's like you're selling Sharia law.
Also, you do realize that they only exist because of our benevolence, because we didn't destroy them. Right? We are the #1 global superpower, and any other culture and country that exists because of our benevolence, that we did not destroy them. I know that's dark, but it's true.
More than you're selling America. You had a guest on a couple weeks ago. Your guest said, you know, that capitalism should not be anywhere near Christianity. Yeah. Christianity is socialism at its core.
That's retarded.
You almost agreed with them. And you're like, yes. And you almost agreed with them. So socialism, Christianity at its core, you almost sound like you're supporting maybe a Mamdani in New York.
True.
Or maybe an Ilhan Omar. Maybe those two will be in your podcast in the next few months.
They very well might.
Don't.
I mean, this dude did an entire propaganda tour for Putin, talking about how China is actually superior. Like, I would not be surprised.
No, I'm trying to see what you're solving for. See, this is kind of where I'm at with my life that most people don't know about, but let me kind of share it with you. For 7.5 years, I worked with Mormons. Guess what? I read everything I could on Mormons, and I realized it's not a denomination for me. I'm not interested. I watch all the videos you're not supposed to watch. Ask me how many bad experiences I had with Mormons. 0. They're phenomenal people.
Great people.
I work with
honestly, agreed. Total agreement.
Seventh-day Adventists, and I learned that on Saturdays. You know, there's Saturday, Sunday, all these different things. Very interesting. Guy named Juan Rivas, big community. Not for me, but guess what? I got along with them. Jews. I notice Jews, when I do business with them, it's very interesting if you negotiate with them. They're going to be very, very making sure they get all the benefits on their side. But ask me how many times I've had issues with Jews. Never. Okay, if you ask me about Catholics, I build an insurance company with 60,000 insurance agents, 54% Hispanic. And what do you think most Hispanics are? Catholics. Never had one issue with a single Catholic in my life. And last but not least, Islam, Muslim. I lived with them for 11 years. When you say Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West, I lived with the IRGC and the Hezbollahs in Iran, where my mother and my sister were frightened to walk outside. That's this guy. I lived with them, okay? Not hypotheticals. And, you know, we are now both very wealthy. You come from a very wealthy family. I think you also may have married into a wealthy family. And you made
Tucker Carlson's dad is a CIA agent.
A lot of money. You made a lot of money in your life, and your business is doing very well today. When you go to dinner, you're having dinner with people that are going to make sure you see the best side of everything you go to.
True.
When I went to Mumbai, they showed me the best part of Mumbai. I went to the slums because I wanted to see what it looked like. Whatever part of the world I go to, I get treated royally today. Why? Because they want to show me the best.
Because he's rich.
But I lived in the worst when our family had nothing. Literally nothing is what we had when we lived in Iran. Regular places, we lived in the city of Tehran. But you know, as crazy as that is, do you know my chef that lives with us? When we go on the road, he's with us all the time. Do you know he's Muslim and he's Turkish?
And he's a nice guy?
And he's still a Muslim? And do you know what Turks did to Armenians and Assyrians? You ever heard of the Armenian genocide or the Assyrian genocide?
Those are real genocides, not like the pretendicides that everyone talks about today.
You ever heard of that? 1.5 million, 300,000, 200,000? I love this guy. He's a great guy to us. He's very good to us. Because I isolate the relationship with that individual. And I still tell him how concerned I am with what Islam could do to America. I am still concerned of that, of what's happened in many different societies.
I don't watch a lot of Patrick Bet-David, but he's kind of on fire right now.
Look at, you know, what they're doing in Minnesota, many markets that we read about. Look at what's going on in New York right now. Look at what's going on in a couple places in Plano on how they're growing. And so Charlie Kirk, whom you and I think, both admire, Charlie Kirk.
I don't think Tucker Carlson admired Charlie Kirk. I think Tucker Carlson saw Charlie Kirk was assassinated, realized that there was a power vacuum, and immediately tried to take his place and push his own ideals in place of Charlie Kirk's.
One said, I think it was 2 days before he was killed. I think it was 1 day.
Islam is the sword the left uses to slit the throat of America.
Before he was killed. He said, Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Let me read it to you one more time. Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Do you agree with Charlie? Because I do. I do. Because it's all like, hey, let's make it not a big deal.
Tucker doesn't. How could you insult Islam? A president insulting Islam.
Let's be tolerant. Let's be tolerant Christians. Sharia law
Bro, tolerance is not a virtue. Intolerance is a virtue.
has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. Let's just be tolerant. It's okay. Let's be tolerant. Let's accept all this stuff. Let's allow all this immigration that's going on in UK.
By the way, Tucker does not talk about immigration at all. He doesn't actually talk about any of the actual issues that do face America. He only talks about Israel. Trump is controlled. Trump is evil. He's bringing us into wars. He's the Antichrist.
Not a big deal. They're not that bad. It's fine. They don't live the way you do. They just don't. They don't live by the values you and I live in America. They don't. Now, if you I have a lot of friends that, like Andrew Tate chose to become a Muslim. If you've already converted, but you've not made the announcement publicly, listen, to each his own. You're making that decision as an adult. I support it. More power to you. But my priority is America first. My priority is to make sure we advance America in a way that young men are able to make enough money to get married and have 3+ kids, preferably 4, and be able to have their kids' dream become a reality, where if they want to go build a business and make billions, do it. If you want to make millions, do it. If you want to go in the military, do it. If you want to go out there and, have a regular job, making $58,000 a year at whatever company, but you're happy about your job because you're a school teacher, go do it. That's what I want. And as a Christian man, non-denominational, Christ is King, I say that comfortably. My life changed the day I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior, January 21st of 2004. I will say that to a Jew, to a Muslim, to a Catholic, to anybody. That's my faith. And every day I fall short. When we first moved to Florida for the first 30 days, every single night, I would walk and I would listen to this version of Amazing Grace because that's the only thing I relate to. Those words, you know the words. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That, I want to read this thing to you, that saved a wretch like me, like this guy, regular guy, a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found.
I'm not going to lie, he's kind of killing Tucker here.
Was blind, but now I see. Jesus Christ changed my life. And I'm a Christian man saying this, a business owner. Most people don't know what I do throughout the day. I run companies for a living. I'm not a media guy. We've grown this business from 9 employees to 165 employees. I'm in meetings from morning till night, and I love what I do because I live in the greatest country in the world. So, message back to you. I don't want to be enemies with you. Although if you want to be enemies, I'm okay with that as well. It doesn't bother me, but I don't want to be enemies with you.
He's not going to even respond. I'm sure he's not even going to respond to this.
Because I actually want to believe.
He exists in like this leftist slander style. He exists in this little area where, you get criticized and then you immediately just take things out of context. Oh, Patrick Bet-David, he hates Christians. He said Christians hates Jews. He's slander.
Deep down inside, you love America. You love America. I want to believe deep down inside you're there. And whether you know this or not, you have a lot of influence right now. I do think one of the topics that's going to be an issue on the ballot for 2028 will be Israel, control, AIPAC, all of that stuff. And I'd like to see how that pans out and how it goes, because I like debates. I watch these debates. I watch what takes place. I watch to see where the market is going to. So I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're trying to get behind a Massey, because I think he's a pretty capable, talented guy.
Maybe. I think Massey's a loser.
I don't know if you want to run. I don't know what you're solving for. I don't know if you're like, well, I don't care if we win the midterms. I don't care. Let a Democrat win. Maybe sometimes America needs to go through the pruning process because I want to see destroy the GOP and start all over again.
Yeah, I think it's a retarded position too.
I don't know. Maybe that's the vision. If it is, more power to you. That's not my vision. My vision isn't that. And I have
I don't think he wants that either, though.
Sprinkle of libertarian.
I think he's an operative.
To me, because I want to be left alone and just kind of allow me to do that kind of stuff. So whenever I have the conversation and I listen to a Dave, I agree with a lot of the stuff libertarians also believe in, but I think there's an end to it because we've already started a country the way that we are. And so you and I both get accused of something. I want you to process this, and I want you to know.
I think libertarianism is gay. I think it's a nice pipe dream if you're retarded. No offense, you need authority.
I'm open to it. You get accused of, this guy, Tucker's taking money. Pat's a Zionist. He's taking money from Israel. Never been to Israel. AIPAC messaged me and told me, you want to come to Israel? I said, I have no interest in going to Israel for you to pay for me. I'm going to go one day with my pastor. We've never taken money from anybody. And I'm so confident with myself on what I've done because there's only one thing I fear in my life, and that's God. I don't fear anything more than I fear God. And trust me, I fear God a lot because this thing's like this. If you ever wanted to have fun, and let's just say, you know, put it out there on the line, and again, I'll put the onus on you if you're open to this or not.
Here we go.
Let's go hire 3 accounting firms. You pick one, I pick one, and let's get a third party that we both agree on. Maybe like a KPMG, PwC, and BKD, hypothetically. Some of the biggest firms you probably recognize. You have money. You've done well for yourself. Let's have them do audited financials on me, my wife, and you and your wife, and report back to see if I've ever gotten paid from Israel, and report back to see if you've ever gotten paid from Qatar or Pakistan or any of these guys. All the businesses, all the LLCs, all the accounts. You know how this kind of works. They can kind of figure that out. And let's be honest with the audience.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with the audience.
I would love that. Oh, my God,
If you're open to
Turn
it,
the tables.
I'm available. We'll have to spend $500,000, something like that, because it's going to take a few weeks for them to do it. I am fully open to that idea if you are. And by the way, I know this may make you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to accept this offer, but I'm telling you, I'm comfortable if you want to do it. You don't have to do it because it's a little bit private, so I'm sure you're going to come out and say, how dare he want to look at my wife's bank accounts and all this other stuff, because
he won't do
some
it.
people may say, well, they can pay your wife and not through you, and I get that as well, and that's why I want to be a little bit transparent with you. I've tried many times to build a relationship with you. It's been challenging, but I do want you to know that as a Christian man myself, no matter how much you go to a place to not want to believe in somebody, I've been instructed by God to try to do my best to have some grace. And I believe in you. I believe in your abilities. But I believe in God and America more than I believe in any man in America, because I've seen many great empires fall. And for as long as I'm alive and I'm kicking, and if God wants to use me as a voice to elevate how amazing of a country we live in, how lucky we are to be here, I'm going to use my voice to elevate that message. I've been doing that since the time I went to dinner with a few different people in LA, and I was inspired, and I was finally taught about how amazing this great country is, that we escaped Iran after 11 years and went to Germany at a refugee camp, and I finally came here. I served the U.S. Army 101st Airborne Division, one of the most proudest days of my life when I went into the U.S. Army. So that offer is back to you. Now, you have my cell phone number. If you want to call me, have a conversation, I'd love to. I'd love to. Your talent. I respect your ability on what you've done.
All right, we'll see.
But if you send your, your followers, and you got a lot of people that will do whatever you do, because you're the head guy at the top, and you know all the other people that follow whatever you say. So I trust all of them are going to probably attack me. I hope they don't, because I'd like to see that if the day Charlie passed, it was a heavy burden on me, because I have young boys that love Charlie. I've never seen my son get emotional for 30 minutes the day Charlie died, and I was at an event that I couldn't even get to my son that night. I think there's a lot of movements that need our help. I'm willing to contribute in my own way. If you are willing to contribute, you know how to get a hold of me. You have my cell phone number.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, he fucking killed him. Because there's no way he could back out without looking like a pussy, and he's absolutely going to back out here. His whole thing is that Trump is controlled, and Trump is bought, and everyone's controlled and blackmailed by Epstein and Israel and the Jews and Netanyahu. But ultimately, there's no way he's actually going to be willing to do this, in my opinion, because he's bought. I mean, in fact, we know for a fact an Iranian billionaire gave him like $15 million or something after he was fired from Fox News. Like, that's open information right now. And there's also this huge scoop going on. Allegedly, the CIA is investigating him for leaking plans to Iran, which was used in Trump's strike against all of the Khamenei retards. Basically got them all together to think that there was no ceasefire, and then that there was going to be no war, and then all of a sudden, poof, they got obliterated. I think that he is dirty. Now, I do agree with one of the things that Patrick Bet-David said here, which is that, obviously, we have to give people grace. However, I believe you absolutely need to hope and pray for the best while simultaneously fearing the worst. And I'm so happy people are finally scrutinizing this guy, including the Trump administration, who, let me remind you, fired his son, and Trump is blasting him in public all the time now. All right, this break has been made. All right, and I'm really happy, because I think ultimately the truth is so important, and the closer we get to the truth every single day just makes everything a little bit better and sweeter. Thank God for opening our eyes, and may he continue to guide us in a better direction where we fucking obliterate retards. I don't know. A lot of people think that, oh, you believe in God? Well, then you must be a bad believer because you have issues with people and you should just forgive everyone forever. This is pussy logic, man. I could forgive someone's soul for trying to kill me, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to kill them first. Anyone that reads the Bible understands that God is not demanding an entire army of losers rolling over and letting ourselves get killed by our enemies. God demands justice and victory, and I am here to help. Now, our government, which actively hates us and operates against us every single day, it seems sometimes, is getting brutally exposed, and they are having terrible days because citizen journalism is actually back. So this is Nick Shirley. You might remember him from exposing all the hospice fraud in LA, for exposing all the, daycare leering centers in Somalia, also known as Minnesota. Well, currently they're trying to pass a bill specifically to target him to literally jail people for investigating fraud.
What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act?
I think you're a psycho scam artist.
They don't want to end their fraud racket. A lot of the politicians, they benefit from the political organizations, and so they want this racket to continue. They don't want the truth to get out.
Stop fraud investigations, but you're the one who signed off and you're a co-author of it. Here in California, they are trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act. The official title of this bill is AB 2624, and today we're going to be confronting the legislators that are trying to pass this bill. And if this bill were to get passed, instead of going after the fraudsters, they're trying to make it criminal to go after the people that are committing this fraud. For instance, it would become criminal to film and reveal info on taxpayer-funded immigration services like healthcare, which would include daycare, hospices.
This is against the free speech, right?
Services, translation services, and immigration legal services. So for instance, if the Quality Leering Center was inside of California, it would be illegal to expose them. It would make it illegal to film government-funded NGOs. And this bill essentially wants to shield the info of immigrant support services from the public. So your tax dollars, you'd have no idea where it's going because it would then become confidential, and you would not be able to see how much money that NGO is getting if it's going towards immigrant services.
That's crazy.
And what makes
That's absolute insanity. All right. So again, people are threatening his life for exposing this shit. And he just keeps going. Honestly, God bless this guy. It's crazy. Right. So as you can see, this post on Twitter alone got 100,000 likes and 2 million views, which is great. Not enough, but great. And the reality is, look at what we're dealing with. We are dealing with a country, specifically Democrats, so fucking corrupt, so undeniably corrupt that they're arresting the investigators instead of the fraudsters because they just don't want people to understand how much fraud is actually happening. And that is because the investigations make a difference, because politicians are actually moving, all right? We are activating politicians to actually get invested to stop this stuff because of the public pushback. So their solution is stop the public pushback by arresting journalists investigating where our money goes. Now, we're paying taxes. As far as I stand, every single penny that the government uses our tax dollars for should absolutely be transparent. It's our money. It's our money. You are taking our money against our will, and you're not even telling us where it's going. It's like actual theft. Taxation is just actual theft, and they're just acknowledging that that's the case. Now, I have to show you some of the fraud that's been going on. It's insane. So, Somali rep Ilhan Omar withdrew her claim of being worth $30 million, all right? So, one of the major criticisms against Ilhan Omar is she claims to be worth $30 million despite the fact that, well, she doesn't work, right? She's in Congress. She's supposed to be making like $100,000 a year, and she went from in debt 2 years ago to worth $30 million today. How did that happen if not scamming and fraud? Well, she said, oops, it was an accounting error. This is her new response because she's getting investigated for getting deported.
Okay, that was far-left Congresswoman Ilhan Omar claiming the Justice Department and Congress probing her sudden skyrocketing wealth to $30 million in just 1 year, that they have a problem with her living the American dream. You heard her say the goddamn United States of America. We've got new questions on where she and her husband got all that money.
Yeah, that happened.
Forbes media chair, editor-in-chief Steve Forbes. Steve, new information coming in, and Forbes magazine, your magazine, has reported this too, that the state of Delaware and Washington, D.C. canceled the registrations for Omar's husband's investment firm, Rose Lake, for not paying its back taxes. We saw it owed more than $400,000 to Delaware and nearly $1,800 to D.C. She's claiming it's worth $25 million from less than grand a year before.
Oh my!
How?
It went from $1 to $1,000 in 2023 to $5 to $25 million in 2024. How did this happen?
How can his investment firm not afford to pay taxes? It's supposedly worth an estimated $75 million to $150 million.
Smells
this
like
is really
fraud
weird
to me.
Stuff.
Well, weird is not the word for it. There's another word for it called crooked, and that's why we have to have an investigation into this. As you know, the Biden administration started examining her finances and that of her husband, and so surprise, surprise, that investigation went nowhere.
You mean to tell me the Biden administration wasn't actually looking for fraud in their actual constituents and instead was doing their absolute best to import more retards to elect more retards? Now, the funny thing is, Ilhan Omar has just withdrawn her claim of being worth up to $30 million. She said, oopsie poopsie, I take it back, takeies, backsies, and says her skyrocketing net worth was from $18,000 to $95,000 instead of, $30 million. She blames her accountant.
But it's amazing how people can go into Congress and then become these entrepreneurial investing geniuses where they come in and she had under $1,000.
You see, here I thought that she was just doing like insider trading. Well, it turns out she's probably doing tax fraud. And by that I mean taking our taxes.
Net worth, and her husband didn't have much, and suddenly now they're multimillionaires. Is there a money laundering operation here? And in terms of the firms themselves, they have a sketchy background. That winery in California that she and her husband own, where did that come from? Where's the wine there? And nobody can.
No one understands how she got so rich. A lot of people are saying Trump's not doing enough, but things are happening slowly. Just in, Ilhan Omar claims a disclosure listing her wealth as $30 million was an accounting error. Her real net worth is $18,000. Bro, fire that accountant. Fire the accountant then. What are we? Are we being serious? Any accountant that accidentally says that you're worth $30 million instead of $18,000 is like fucking insane. That's crazy. Now, all of this hospice fraud that we've been seeing throughout the country, it turns out a lot of that is getting shut down right now.
What is the response to Democrats arguing that this rooting out of fraud, that it's cutting Medicaid services? What is your response to that?
None at all. They know it's manufactured. That's why when they say this sort of, like sheepishly mention the possibility that you might once in a while hurt someone that's innocent. I argue that if you take a child with autism and you give them the services they need, you're doing a great service. It's the right thing to do. We're great people. We'll always help folks in need. But if every mother is pretending, because they're getting paid, that the children in the neighborhood have autism, which is bad for those kids, by the way.
And you're seeing that.
And we're seeing that in Minnesota. You take a budget from $3 million to $400 million. You do that by creating programs and manufacturing services that aren't supposed to be used. But what you're doing is you're hurting the child who really has autism because they can't get access to services.
That's right.
And you're corrupting the entire system. We're seeing the same thing in California with hospice, where you have 1/3 of all the hospices, Katie, in the entire country are in Los Angeles, not California, just LA.
That's pretty
how
bad.
many people are dying there?
Yeah.
Right, so you obviously have allowed
A little bit of a
corruption.
red flag.
And I'll make this announcement at your show, we have stopped payments to 450 hospices in California.
That is insane. That is insane. They stopped payments to 450 hospices because a YouTuber investigated hospices, thought it was fishy, looked into it. 450 hospices stopped getting payment from our tax dollars. We make a difference. Look at how insane this is.
Guess what? Not one has called us asking to reinstitute them.
Wow.
They may change their minds over time, but in 10 weeks, we've shut down 450 payment systems to these guys. That's representing at least $700 million
Oh my
just this
God.
year, and no one's complaining.
So things are actually happening. That's crazy. That's actually insane. It really is. Now, of course, people are really upset about it. How can you target our Somali community? So this is Pramila Jayapal. She is a retard, and this is what she had to say.
The majority of Americans across the country, regardless of political party, know that immigrants from all over the world, Somalia, India, wherever they're from, Latin America, Africa, that immigrants have built this country and make this country what it is today.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Somalis have not improved this country by any metric whatsoever, let alone built this country. All right? Somali Indians, Latinos, and Africans did not build this country. All right? White people built this country. White Christians built this country. White Christians made this country what it is. Yes, you're right. There were some slaves that were sold by black people to us. But the reality is it was white people that built this country. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth of the matter. And it is insane, Cope, to think that the Somalis built America. Absolute retard shit. In fact, I'll take this a step further. I can't even think of one way, and this is going to be controversial, that Somalis have improved America at all. I can't think of one instance whatsoever. Not one invention, not one business that was made that employed Americans. I can't think of any benefit whatsoever given to America by Somali immigration at all. And we shouldn't even be surprised by this. We are literally importing people with 67 IQ, and we're wondering how they're not contributing, man. Bro, their country is an absolutely devastated shithole. I don't even know what we're expecting here. I don't know why we should even imagine or entertain the thought that they would improve America. 67 IQ is like, we will crack open your rib cage to see if maybe you have gold nuggets growing on the inside of your spine. We will eat your testicles to show dominance level IQ, okay? This is not a joke. This is not a false alarm. This is absolutely diabolical, bro. So the reality is, the reason why we have Somalis in our country is for charity. All right, that's what the government says. We want to be nice to these people. They live in a shithole. They made their country a shithole, and they're going to make our country worse. But that's a sacrifice we are willing to take because we're willing to make this sacrifice by having them rape our country because, well, at least it'll give them a better life. That's the argument they make. I personally don't believe in it. I don't buy in it. I don't subscribe to that at all. I don't think it's our problem whatsoever that these retards are eating each other and shit in Somalia. That is not my problem. I don't think we should be importing them. We have a society that honestly does not benefit whatsoever by these people being here. The experiment failed. Send them home. That's my perspective. Now, a lot of people think that that's radical, but I think that you are retarded. The moderate position is we should not be importing people that don't improve our country. The radical position would, be importing people that rape us physically and financially. All right, that is a radical position to think that we need to open our borders to retards and treat them like they are one of us. That is a radical fucking retarded position. No, they did not build America. And this narrative that they're pushing is all part of the fraud. But then again, Pramila Jayapal here, Muslim, also did not build America. So obviously this is the psyop that they're trying to push on you people. Now, understand, we have a major issue in our country. This is what Elijah Schaefer has to say. He's recently got exposed for, divorcing his wife or something after he was cheating on her with some Catholic influencer lady. I don't know, man. I don't get involved. Anyway,
get him. I don't know CPR, bro. I don't know CPR, bro. Hurry up.
Just have people overdosing on the streets.
Yeah, bro. Come on, bro. Wait, what?
Yeah, just people overdosing on the streets, and police go up to wake him. This guy says something pretty insane. Unpopular opinion: we should let these people die when they overdose. It will fix a lot of cities. That's fucking evil, man. That's evil, actually. And it's pretty insane watching this shit. Hey man, just wondering, why are you still tweeting on this platform, or frankly alive, after court documents show you admitted to your wife you molested a 16-year-old boy as a youth pastor? Oh my fucking god. The ratio to 300,000 likes. Oh my god, bro. What is this? What is that? Oh my lord. Yeah, so this guy is going to explain to us how to fix society. It's pretty insane watching this. And then, of course, you see stuff like this, where, you have homeless people using dogs to test drugs to see if they're laced with fentanyl.
It's okay, buddy.
This is crazy, by the way.
Look at his leg.
That's right. Look at that. Look at that shit. Yeah, this is the leftist ecosystem.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, so essentially what we're witnessing is homeless people are using dogs to test drugs on them in Skid Row in Los Angeles, California. Nonprofit group Starts With One Today says dogs are being abused, thrown away, sold for drugs, neglected, and fed drugs to make sure there isn't fentanyl. Animal advocates are ripping at Mayor Karen Bass and other elected officials for not taking enough action. We're coming out here risking our lives to help these dogs with no support from the government. This is pretty insane, honestly. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up all this homeless... we can start gassing the homeless now. That was a joke. But the thing is, this is happening because we're letting it happen. The government is giving drugs to these homeless people. The homeless crisis is a totally manufactured operation that does not need to exist. Like, understand, a lot of this is because these people are obviously going to vote for the Democrats, the people that are going to continue giving them drugs, to continue overdosing, right? And it's just heartbreaking watching this happen on the streets, while all this taxes that's going to protect the homeless, right? Gavin Newsom is out here spending allegedly millions of dollars on protecting the homeless and getting homeless people in the places where they belong, and it'll make it better for them and stuff like that. Well, the truth is, they're not doing any of that. They're not doing any of that at all. We are witnessing an unbelievable manufactured tragedy, all right, because our tax dollars are getting swindled, absolutely swindled, instead of actually gone to do anything of use. So Nick Shirley actually went to Congress, all right? He went to, or rather, California's parliament, whatever, and to start asking these people, the people that are pushing this bill, the Stop Nick Shirley Act, like, why? Why would you want to stop independent investigations into fraud? Like, why are you pro-fraud?
The bill AB 2624, why would you sign off on that? It's a direct violation of the First Amendment, and it makes it harder for people to expose fraud here.
True.
We have Ledge Council. They check the constitutionality of all our bills as we're writing them.
We checked, actually.
I work on fraud issues. You'd know that if you look at some of the work I did on the budget subcommittee.
Amazing. So Mia Bonta, her husband's Attorney General of the Attorney General of California, and it was only until I exposed fraud that they actually cracked down on the fraud and made some arrests here.
True.
Especially with the hospices. And
that is just objectively true. Completely and objectively correct.
Do you know that if this bill were to pass, it'd make it illegal for someone to go after fraud, especially if it's based off of immigrants, for instance.
Almost like that's the point.
The Armenians in California.
No, I think that that's a misinterpretation of the bill.
No, when we wanted to push a bill to stop you from investigating fraud, it's not because we want to stop you from investigating fraud. It's because we're gay and we believe in homosexual sex and intercourse. That's what we think about all the time. We're Democrats.
But I'm happy to talk with you more about it, and
I'd love to talk to you more, as she proceeds to try to run away.
Don't you
fraud
worry.
and investigations into fraud are something that's been happening for a very long time.
So then what are you trying to stop?
Attorney General handles those cases.
Oh, because the fraud investigations are handled by the people that are probably committing the fraud. Actually, we're just gonna let the California government take over fraud. We don't want independent investigators. What's your logic, man? Xenophobia, racism, transsexuals. I would think it's important.
This is an ongoing
weird
issue.
That the wife of the Attorney General, Mia Bonta, is now pushing this bill that literally goes against the First Amendment.
No, I actually don't. I don't think that.
I don't think it's weird at all that we're stopping investigations into fraud.
This bill violates the First Amendment. I mean,
really? You don't think investigating fraud violates? What are we even talking about? The First Amendment, you know, freedom of speech, right? Why can he not ask Armenians if they're doing fraud?
Really?
That's the whole purpose. We have Ledge Council and Ledge attorneys that talk with us about this. Constitutionality is...
Oh, but don't worry, guys. We don't actually care about the First Amendment because some gay lawyer told us that we could rape the First Amendment, and therefore we can.
Really important to the work.
So your bill criminalizes publication of images recorded in public. Do you believe
that's a violation of the First Amendment?
The government has the right to punish journalists for filming in public space?
No, I think that is a complete
I know you read the words that are written there, but your reading of the words was wrong because words don't mean anything to leftists.
Interpretation of actually the
piece
of legislation.
I'm gonna make believe I'm looking for something in my Yves Saint Laurent purse. All right, I'm just a humble servant of the city.
That is not. That's literally what happened. Speaker Rivas, how are you doing? What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act? AB 2624.
Yeah, what do you think, sir?
I don't know anything about it.
And do you think
right.
there's any conflict?
Why should I know something about the thing that I'm voting for?
Of interest there with Mia Bonta and her husband being the AG. That just
lots to say.
Shows you everything you need to know. These people won't even answer the questions.
He's just right, man. It's so brutal. It's crazy. They literally all ran away or said they had no idea about the bill. They are co-authors! The co-authors of the bill have no idea about the bill. They have no comment on anything. What do you mean? What do you mean? And it's all of them, bro. It's all of them.
So what do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624?
You are literally a co-author of the bill. What do you mean you don't know about it? This is crazy, man. What do these people in government even do, bro, aside from rape us? They just wake up, they rape us, they go to sleep, they wake up, they rape us.
You don't know much about it?
I don't know if I know that.
Oh, well, can I tell you a little bit about it?
I'm okay.
So
she is literally a co-author of the bill. All right, so I had a long day of raping you, and now I'm going to have a sandwich for lunch.
You should know. You should know about it though, because it's kind of your job. So the Stop Nick Shirley Act, what it does is it shields immigrant. Oh, all right, we can keep following you.
What was that?
What it does is it shields immigrant.
You just out here trying to dodge him? What is this? This is crazy.
We can keep following you. The Stop Nick Shirley Act shields immigration nonprofit workers from public record disclosure. It criminalizes publishing images and videos of covered workers, even taken in public. Grants cover.
It's just so disrespectful. Like, this is a civil servant, right? She supposedly works for us. It's unbelievable.
Org's power to demand video takedowns, imposes a $4,000 civil, $10,000 criminal, $50,000 felony fines per violation, applies to taxpayer-funded organizations. Would you support a bill that allows all that to take place? It is your job. Would you support a bill? Yes or no, ma'am?
Can you take that out of our It was so good to meet you. I hope you have a great day.
Ma'am, you're literally working for us, but you won't even.
This is crazy.
Answer our own questions. Like, these people get paid by our tax dollars, yet they can't even answer anything.
It's honestly the most black-pilling shit in the universe. It's honestly insane that we let this happen. Like, these people, they wake up in the morning to rape us all day, and then they go home to their little mansion where they allegedly get billions of dollars of fraud money going to these people, allegedly. And then they wake up the next morning to rape us a little more. They never have to explain themselves. They never have to engage with our conversation. They never have to actually follow any form of law, it seems. And they're completely shielded by this infinite retard bullshit wagon of idiots protecting other idiots. And in fact, here we have Nick Shirley going on Fox News talking about this new bill, which is a literal violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, so if this passes, the fraud's going to continue to get worse and worse. And if I were to go look into the fraud at one of these NGOs, let's say, that receives money for migrants, I could receive a $4,000 civil fine, a $10,000 criminal fine, or a $50,000 felony if this bill gets passed. And not only that, they'll also have the power to take down my videos. And
that's right. If you are investigating fraud, that's right. If you go up to an Armenian guy and be like, hey, is your hospice legit? They can take down your YouTube videos and put you in jail. They're just so scared of him. It's crazy. Like, they threatened to kill him. They doxed him. Now they're criminalizing him. They're criminalizing this. It's shocking. There is no logical reason why this should be a thing. But there is absolutely zero logic behind it, aside from, hey, we want to actually keep getting away with doing fraud.
And they're basically trying to bankrupt journalists from looking into the fraud.
Yeah, they're trying to bankrupt you after you're having to fund your own private security. But the American people collectively say thank you, Nick Shirley.
And it's just crazy. And we're here paying taxes to these people who never have to explain themselves while they shut down investigations into fraud so that they could keep raping us. It's just a hobby, I guess. Now, Fox News has been going on quite the tirade as well, which is very, very enjoyable. All right, so they're going after HASAN PIKER all the time now. Now, a lot of people are obviously, they have this perspective. For example, this is HASAN's clip Twitter guy saying, Fox News has made HASAN PIKER his #1 target. What are they so afraid of? So, pro-China, HASAN PIKER over here is constantly being talked about, and it's insane. They're shredding him at all angles, you know, because he's an anti-American, pro-terrorist piece of garbage that quite literally is a gigantic, demonstrable black hole on the entirety of the Democrat Party. In fact, anyone that's aware of life, they're not afraid of HASAN, you dick rider. They literally want to make this guy the face of the Democrats. People don't understand the op that's happening over here on the right. Finally, learning some tricks from the retards on the other side of the force. Being like, wait a second, let's make HASAN PIKER the face of the Democrats. Who's going to vote for the party that says America deserved 9/11? Right, so anyway, you got to watch them shredding this guy. And there's also an old resurfaced clip of him. And then we have to talk about China. Because HASAN PIKER is radically pro-China in every single stance that he takes. Because he's a communist, that anti-American communist shitbag. And I have to show you what's going on in China right now. Because it's murder season over there.
The left's new golden boy Twitch streamer doesn't even try to hide it. 34-year-old HASAN PIKER not only hates America.
Just saying, I'm just ahead of the game. If you want to know what people are going to be talking about in media in like a year, you should just watch my videos. I'm 1 year ahead of every single mainstream story. From calling out Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson to HASAN PIKER, all of it. You just watch my videos, you're 1 year ahead. They are shredding this man, and it's beautiful. It's actually awesome. HASAN, I think he doesn't even realize how bad it is for him. Because A, they're going to deport this motherfucker at some point. He's going to go to jail for constantly calling for violence. That's one, obviously. And two, and I think this is even more important, if they make him the face of the Democrats are never winning another election.
terrorists.
PIKER has a controversial history.
Unless the left is literally a terrorist party at this point, you know, supporting the murder of Charlie Kirk and everything in between, chanting and hoping for the destruction and murder of Donald Trump. All right, let's be honest here. The left is basically an immoral terrorist organization. That's my stay. That's what I have to say. A lot of people, oh no, Nux, how you say? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. They're all endorsing violence. They're calling for riots. They're calling for insurrection. They're celebrating the assassination of political figures. Like, what are we even talking about here? Hundreds of flocking to him, actually. The more people that flock to HASAN PIKER is awesome. The better for me. They aren't afraid of HASAN. They want to make this idiot, the one that said America deserved 9/11 and says that rape is resistance, and Palestinians should actually be raping more Jews, right? Make that guy the face of the Democrats. See how that works, man. I think it's honestly a masterful gambit. Now, for me saying that he calls for, like, assassinations and stuff of people, he does. I've already showed you multiple times the fact that he called for the assassination of Rick Scott, right? He calls for his audience to murder senators and stuff. Well, here's an old resurfaced clip, and I think this one hits different. This was him and Destiny back when they were friends, before they backstabbed each other 47 times. This was back when they were buddies, talking about how they really want to kill Charlie Kirk.
I'm ready for the great cleansing, dude.
Cleansing?
The cleansing.
What cleansing?
When we genocide conservatives in this country.
Right, so this is him calling for the genocide of conservatives in the country. Again, these are two of the largest leftist political figures these days.
Are you going to be out in the streets with your Glock?
Maybe. I gotta go back to Nebraska and grab it.
What about Democratic mayors? It's like, what the f are you talking about, dude? We're f***ing talking about socialized medicine, and you f***ing turn around and you f***ing ask a question about murderous cities and their Democratic mayors. I want to f***ing kill him, dude. I want to.
Well. Well.
Whoa! In a video game.
I meant it's just not in a video.
In a video game, I have to say. Otherwise, it sounds like I'm calling for violence.
Game setting. I wanna own him in a video game setting. Oh Jesus! Okay. in a video game.
Yeah.
Fuck. In a debate, I want to.
I accidentally said my actual intrusive thoughts out loud for a second there.
I'm in a debate.
Woo! Good thing I got Pestany over here to protect me.
In Minecraft.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you know, and well, Charlie Kirk is dead now. One of HASAN's fanboys probably was the murderer that killed him. And this is how they operate. It's pretty insane. A lot of people haven't seen this clip. It just resurfaced. You know, he said this long before Charlie Kirk was actually murdered. But it's crazy watching this, you know, and he's praising China as some sort of epic utopia. Well, this is Serpenta. He just made this video on the Chinese murder season that just started, because I think people don't actually understand what's going on the floor in China. So HASAN, who's constantly talking about how he wants America to become more China, fails to acknowledge the fact that there are killings taking place in China every single day right now.
Better hold on. This is going to get a little dark. Officially, China's 2026 murder season is in full swing. What you're seeing here are mountains of confiscated electric bicycles. It may seem crazy, it may seem wasteful.
Oh, it's just confiscated electric bikes. Oh, don't worry. It gets so much worse, because this is the quintessential result of communism. This is what communism will always create. Get ready.
But right now, the government is actually going into people's homes, going into schools, and confiscating these.
By the way, that's fucking bullshit. All right, we'll get into why later, because, you know, everything's super expensive in China for, like, the actual lower class, because that's how communism works. Communism means you need an oppressor class and an oppressed class. The oppressed class gives everything they make to the oppressor class, and the oppressor class oppresses them. So now, because of some EV bullshit that they've decided on randomly, they've decided, boom, we're just going to confiscate all your shit. And they have the power to do that because because it's a fascist state, because it's a fascist communist reality where they could just do whatever they want and implement whatever they want. You actually don't own anything under communism. The government and the state owns everything. So they could just waltz in and take all your shit because they've decided that they don't like it. And remember, that is what HASAN wants here. It's crazy. It's so dystopian, man.
Putting them on the back of trucks and driving them out to these big fields where they're dumped, either sold abroad to places in Africa or
Look at that dude.
Often just left to rot.
That's crazy. And could just do that. They could just decide to take your shit, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You can't vote your way out of it. You can't protest your way out of it because they'll kill you. All right, you can't do anything. They could just decide, and it's over. The decision was made by the state, and they own you. That's scary, man.
China, in all of its wisdom, has decided that certain types of electric bicycles, the ones that people rely on to do food deliveries, the ones that people use as their family transport to get to school, to get to work, they've decided that no, they're all going to be scrapped because they're illegal. This, of course, leads to the typical wasteful...
But hey, maybe they'll at least pay these families for these electric bikes that they're confiscating. Nope. The bikes were always the government's. So you don't understand how communism works. They could just do things.
Piles of rubbish lying around the Chinese countryside, whether it's subsidized EVs, e-bikes, shared bicycles, you name it. When they decide they're going to change something up, they just do it. And they've been doing it en masse. Huge crowds of police at intersections, huge crowds of police raiding schools, raiding businesses, and of course, raiding people's homes, stealing e-bikes. Because you know what? They were legal to buy. They were legal to manufacture.
That's right.
But all of a sudden...
Until the government decided, nope, we're taking them all away. This is what HASAN wants from you. HASAN wants the government to be able to say, no more gas-powered vehicles. Poof, we're just going to take them all away. No more, whatever the fuck, going outside during COVID. Poof, we're just going to disappear you now.
Sudden, they're just illegal to own. So, why am I talking about e-bikes?
Great question.
Well, this is a prime example of what leads to what are called revenge against society attacks.
Get ready.
When the government...
And there's no one to fear more than someone who has nothing to lose. You're going to lock in. You're going to lose your shit.
Government in China decides that they're going to change a policy or implement something. They do not consult the public. There is no option for the public to protest against.
There's no protesting. There's no voting. There's no public sentiment. It's what the state wants.
This. I mean, if you've spent probably half a year's salary on an electric bicycle, something that is absolutely essential.
Half a year's salary on an electric bike. You know why it's so expensive? Because under communism, nothing that you make is worth shit. You're poor, you're broke, you're oppressed, and unfortunately for you, everything costs everything to you. Welcome to China. Welcome to communism, because capitalism is what makes. And that's why Cuba, all right, Cuba's collapsed right now because it's a communist state and it's not getting propped up by foreign superpowers. So right now Cuba's collapsed because communism cannot survive on its own. It needs capitalism in order to prop it up.
To your daily life because you cannot afford a car or you cannot afford or have access to public transport and the government decides that they're just going to take it away. There's nothing you can do.
That's right.
They're not giving you any compensation. They're stealing it from you.
That's right.
So you can try and
communism.
Protest, but if you try to protest in China, they will literally disappear you, or they will arrest you, or
you will get disappeared.
They will come and stop you, and any trace of you actually protesting, holding up a sign or making a scene will be deleted off the internet. You are quite literally disappeared, both digitally and in the real world too. You can't go and complain to the government because there is a way to do it. Go to Beijing and they've got a petitioning office, but
you could just simply write a strongly worded letter to the government and they will promptly do nothing about it.
Nothing ever gets resolved.
Well, they don't care.
The thing is, even if you can afford to go to the petitions office in Beijing, it's not going to change their policies. They're not going to all of a sudden say, you know what, we're going to let you keep your electric bike that we've now deemed illegal because we just don't like these type because they're catching fire or because they're not meeting safety standards or whatever their reason is for it. Of course, the main reason is they don't like bikes. They think it makes the cities look dirty and poor.
And therefore, they're just going to confiscate the thing that you worked your ass off for 6 months to buy.
And so on. There's lots of different reasons why they do this, but...
Right, they care about the visuals of the city, which, I mean, makes sense. Aesthetics are important, don't get me wrong. And therefore, they're just going to confiscate the thing that was legal 2 seconds ago and give you absolutely no form of compensation because they don't fucking care.
It doesn't matter what their reasons are. They decide overnight that they're going to change their policy on it, and all of a sudden, you lose out. So, what do you do in a situation like this? Nothing.
Absolutely fucking nothing. You just wallow in misery under communism.
That's the problem. There is no outlet. You cannot complain. You cannot protest. You cannot go and actually contact somebody in the government. You cannot contact the press to get them to come and do an interview with you.
But don't worry, because China will pay a lot of money for HASAN PIKER to do some sort of nice little gay fucking tour throughout China to talk about how China is actually utopia and awesome.
There's
Remember
nothing
that?
you can do. You have to suck it up.
Yep.
Now, this electric bike situation is just but a drop in the bucket of the types of frustrations that people have to endure living in Chinese society. And unfortunately, it leads to these horrific revenge against society attacks. Like this one that just happened in Guangxi last week, where a guy specifically targeted and rode over people on their bikes.
What the fuck? What the actual
Or how about
fuck?
the week before, when this BMW smashed into children and parents alike outside of a school?
I bet you didn't even hear about any of this stuff. Like, I started researching because I heard about one of them, and I looked it up, and I found another one by accident. I was like, wait a second, is there a pattern? And then I started actually looking into it, and yeah, there's a pattern.
In Jiangsu. Or how about the guy in the front-end loader that last month crashed into a crowded market in Beijing, killing over a dozen people?
Did you even know about this? Massive terrorist attack?
Who knows how many other people were injured? He literally took construction equipment and rammed over people that were there selling vegetables. And
these are people who have nothing to lose. And that's the real heartbreaking tragedy of this. This is the soul-crushing reality. These are people with nothing to lose because everything was taken from them.
Meat and so on in the market. And of course, pedestrians too. These big attacks, these big vehicular homicides, and of course there are mass stabbings and things like that too. I'm not going to get into that in this episode. But these revenge against society attacks are such a commonplace in China now that it seems like every week I'm seeing a new one. If I wanted to, I could simply just show examples of these attacks and make an hour-long video. We could sit here forever talking about all of them, like this one that happened in Fuzhou, or this one that happened outside of the #1 primary school in Beijing, or this one that happened in Nanjing. They're countless.
This is insane.
They seem to be happening every day, and they're ramping up once again because officially China's 2026 murder season is in full swing. Now, before we get into the harsh realities of China's murder season, let's lighten the mood with a data broker rap.
Yeah, definitely a lighter mood here. You know, one thing that always lightens my mood when I think about how we don't have communism here and we actually do have a Communism Enforcement Act. You know, because the only good communist is well, I don't want HASAN to think that this is a call to violence, but communism is an inherently violent ideology. It's not safe, edgy. It's not cool and good for the people. It's not something that hasn't been done properly yet. It is inherently violent. It can never exist without violence because the only way to redistribute the wealth from people who don't want to donate literally all their money, which is everybody, is to take it from them. It is inherently violent, which in my opinion is why it's not protected by the First Amendment. Advocating communism is actually incitement to violence, and it is not protected by the First Amendment, which is why we have the Communism Control Act of 1954, and which is why we need to actually start taking this very seriously, because we do have some sort of Bolshevik revolution going on in America, waving foreign flags, destroying our cities, throwing bricks at cops, and HASAN PIKER going out everywhere preaching communism. In my opinion, he's probably paid by China to do it too.
So let's take a look at the guy in the front-end loader, because this really sums it up. When he was wrestled from his front-end loader and he was pulled out by the crowd because, you know, he'd literally murdered a whole bunch of people, they found a stack of petitioning papers in his front-end loader on the dashboard. Apparently it was centimeters thick. The guy being going to the petitioning office in Beijing, there is one that you're allowed to go to. In the Chinese constitution, it says you can take your grievances to the government. Of course.
Isn't that nice? They give you an outlet where you could go and grovel and cry in front of a government building, and they don't fully disappear you. They just don't listen.
It says that. Nothing ever gets done about it. But people go in a specific time. During the 2 sessions, there's a big government meeting that they hold. And so they go during that time because they know it's a sensitive time. And they feel as if they go there and try to cause a fuss during this sensitive time, that the government is more likely to try to hush them up by taking care of their problem.
But they don't.
Of course, this isn't actually
happens.
true.
That's cool.
Lines outside of that place, they are massive every day, and I don't think anyone ever gets anything resolved, but at least they have the belief that they will get their problems seen to.
It's the ultimate placebo effect, you know? It's just, if you just come here and sit here every single day, all day, we might listen to you. And then they just don't.
And resolve.
Because why should they? Literally, why should they? right? This is like, oh, don't worry, you have an outlet. you could literally cry here in public forever. You know, like how the Wano government did to what's his name, to Odin in One Piece. All you need to do is make a fool out of yourself in public for 1 year straight, and we'll listen to what you have to say. And then he does that for a year straight, and then they're like, we lied. Oops.
So this guy apparently for years had been trying to get his problem, whatever it may be. It could be something to do with his real estate investment that, you know, went south. It could be something to do with the land that he was on that he was forced off. It could be something to do with investment scams. You never know.
Oh, you don't understand. They could just force you off land in China. They could just decide, nope, that's our land now. Sorry, oopsie poopsie, you could go.
There's
but don't worry, HASAN PIKER thinks that that's better.
Many issues in Chinese society that just aren't ever addressed, because when people fall on hard times, the government ignores them.
So what do they do?
There are no social programs. There are no charities for people to go to when they're in dire straits. They have to rely on family, and family can't always help out. So this guy needed his problems taken care of, and for years apparently they weren't, and he'd been petitioning. So what do? Unfortunately, in China, what people do is they try to draw as much attention to themselves as possible, and they do this through revenge against society attacks. And they take two forms usually. Number one, mass vehicular homicides. This is something, like I said, happens almost on a daily basis at some points in the year.
Literally, what the fuck, man?
This is something that every single month in...
Imagine driving these people to do this, all right? And this isn't like jihadists, okay? This isn't like you got these radical Muslims that they show up and they fucking kill people, all right? Because their religion tells them to. This isn't the same, right? Because those guys are actually following some sort of religion. They think they'll, oh, if I die killing infidels, I'll get to have sex with children in heaven or something. Which HASAN PIKER supports also, by the way. All right, don't get me wrong. But you have to understand how demented this is. Like, these people, they're not doing this for some religious reason. They feel like this is the only way that they can be heard. Their anguish outweighs their will to live. So they feel like they might as well do something in a way that gets heard. It's just like, I can't even imagine being put into this mindset. Like, but that is the oppressive communist way of doing things. You're just gonna have to tolerate people feeling like, well, life's not worth living, might as well go out with a bang so that maybe someone will hear me. Unfathomable levels of evil.
China, you will see videos, horrible videos of people plowing into pedestrians on the side of the road, plowing into crowded crosswalks, plowing into people on their bikes, and specifically plowing into children and parents outside of schools. Unfortunately, the second method of revenge against society is attacking young children at school or outside of their schools. And we've seen countless mass stabbings by middle-aged men who go into kindergartens, go into middle schools, and just start indiscriminately attacking children. And that is because the worst thing you can do in China to get revenge against society is to kill children.
Obviously.
And that is because children are people's social blanket. It's their social security. When you have a child in China, because of the way the family structure works, you pour all of your money and your entire family's fortune into raising that child so that when you reach retirement age...
Look how shit this is. You have a guy with a knife that runs into school to stab kids, but they've disarmed their population. So they give them these massive claw grabbers. Instead of like a gun to fucking shoot the guy, they all have like these big sticks with like little grabbers at the end.
You will be able to move in with your child and they will look after you. It's like a retirement fund. And if you get rid of somebody's future, somebody's retirement fund, that is the biggest revenge you can have against society. That is why they go after children.
What a nightmare.
But it's unfortunate to see that murder season has once again kicked off. This is a societal ill that will not go away. This is a societal...
Not as long as communism exists.
...ill in mainland China only. This is a societal ill that will only ever go away if people have a way of venting their frustrations. Of course, there's no excuse for these abhorrent acts and these terrible attacks. But when you have a system that is so oppressive, that doesn't allow a person that has a grievance to vent their grievance, to have a place to go and talk about it.
If you're owned by the state, all right? If they back you into a corner that just makes your life not worth living at all, because of how oppressive and evil it is, it's going to make these people do anything to be heard. And it's a nightmare.
have the media to talk to have government institutions that they can reach out to have courts and rights and labor laws and things like that. When you don't have that, this is the result.
Yeah, and HASAN PIKER, all right, to circle back, HASAN PIKER is going out there, you know, anti-genocide, just like as China claims to be anti-genocide as they genocide the younger Muslims. All right, so HASAN PIKER out there talking about how China is great. He's in a very Chinese part of his life. China's the best place in the world. He absolutely loves China. The reality is everyone is more than happy on the right to make HASAN PIKER the face of the left, because this guy is fucking evil. He is pro-terrorist, he is anti-America, he's pro-communist China, and it's unbelievably, demonstrably evil, which is why he's tearing the left apart and why the right is more than happy to use him as a figurehead. But don't forget for a second, he's the fucking enemy. He is the quintessential enemy, a foreigner that came into this country that was given some sort of citizenship because of bullshit, twisted birthright citizenship laws that now has some sort of moderate position of power that helps other foreigners get elected in order to hoist their power over you. This is the foreign takeover in writing, and I'm so happy that we have such a quintessential example of a pro-terrorist Islamist retard like HASAN PIKER to help us understand exactly the caricature of what we're dealing with every single day in society. Thank you, HASAN, for being the useful idiot. Now we need to work on some sort of politician that'll get this motherfucker deported immediately.